Hi there, as you probably read from the title of the video, I've decided to do a review of a absolute classic. If you follow me on Twitter, then you'll notice that I bought this recently and been listening to it quite a lot recently. It's been a while since I've listened to it, so yeah, it's OK Computer by Radiohead. It looks like that. Came out in 1996. Radiohead are a band I really like. I've always really liked them. I think I've got. If I've not got all of them, I must be missing maybe one or two of their albums on CD. And when I was younger, in the mid to late 90s, I was fairly obsessed with this album. The two albums before it, Pablo Honey and The Bends, I like them. I think they're great, but this is the one that really broke the back of the band for me. We'll talk about a bit more of the style about it later on. If you can find an original pressing of this, 1996 jobber, you're looking at a fair chunk of money, more than I can afford to buy. This is not an original pressing, although I have been looking for a decent pressing of it for a while before plumping out and buying it. This is the only bit of wax I actually own by Radiohead, although I think it will be the first of a few particular albums that I want to get hold of. We'll go to that later. So I went on my honeymoon last week to the States. Before I went, I did a bit of research. I found myself a local independent little record shop. It was in Vegas that I went, so it was in the old town, the downtown bit of Vegas we went to, and I made a point of spending an hour, or probably more like 2 hours, finding the record shop, which was so easy to find, and buying myself some records, this being one of them. It was called 11th Street Records in downtown in Vegas. Really good, really nice record shop. Two blokes that were in there, very knowledgeable. We had a deep conversation about New Order. Well, semi-deep conversation about New Order and the price of New Order records. So yeah, I was pretty happy to pick this up. So the modern represses that have been done of this on 180 gram vinyl and all that and stuff, I've read on a couple of audio forums, aren't really amazing. They're okay. They're fine. But unless you can find yourself an original pressing, the best one to go for is the 2008 repress that was done. They did it as on Parlophone in the UK, but also on Capitol, which owns Parlophone rights over in the States. And this is the Capitol 2008 repressing, which, if you think 2008, 8 years ago, not a lot of records were being pressed really. It's a 180 gram vinyl. Not that that makes a massive difference, as long as it sounds good. I don't really care about the weight. But this is, yeah. So this is that one. You can see there, price I paid $23, $23, which equates to what, 16, just under 16 quid, £15, bargain. So yeah, there we go. So let's get it out. So when I bought it, it was in this thing, which is why it's still got the price on it. I did get a couple of other records as well. Maybe I'll review those another time. If you follow me on Twitter, you can see a picture I posted. I got a couple of Verve 1960s jazz albums. Lovely American gatefolds. The gatefolds are really shiny, really laminated. They're really great. I love them. And I've played them as well. Cleaned them and played them. They sound great as well. So here's the gatefold. There we go. One of those. So inside we've got all the lyrics, but they're a kind of dash kind of left, right, up, sideways, and it's kind of like a typewriter type font. Lovely matte finish on the whole of the sleeve. So on the back here we've got some kind of it looks like a tube map, or kind of a cross section of an underground station. We've got the track listing here. You'll notice that it goes through to 6, which is Karma Police, and then tiny little Fitter Happier number 7, and then 8 onto Electioneering, which is a fantastic track. And Fitter Happier is a short interlude track. It's not very long, and it's got, if it's not Stephen Hawking's voice, it's certainly the same voice synth that he uses on his in his equipment to say a variety of things. So yeah, so that's that. You know that this is the Capitol pressing because right in the bottom corner there, if I can find it for you, yeah, right down here, it's got the little Capitol logo, and actually on the discs themselves as well. But it was in the initial instance released by Parlophone. Recorded in '96 in Oxford, and I think some of it was done near Bath, which is near where I live. It was Pablo Honey and the Bends were very much indie guitar based rock, very angsty, very angsty lyrics. And so the record label Parlophone gave Radiohead money for the album and said, no time pressure, just make something. And when when they brought them this, they weren't quite sure about it, and it's ended up being, for me, one of the best albums ever recorded. Absolutely brilliant, and I think it led them in a completely different direction and led them to better things. It's not my favourite Radiohead album, but it's certainly for me the most important Radiohead album. My favourite is an album called Hail to the Thief, which I think came out in 2001, 2002, 2002. But that very much takes the ideas presented in here, electronic kind of ideas that you find in here, and some of that angsty stuff as well. After this came an album called Kid A, which was produced at the same time as an album called Amnesiac, and they were released twice in the same year, something like that. So anyway, let's get in there. So, record number 1. We have an inner sleeve that looks like this. There we go. So it's very much kind of a scribbled montage of images. They've got created with a photocopier by the looks of it. We've got kind of a track listing there, which looks, yeah, that looks pretty much as the track listing is, but that's obviously they've kept hold of the notes. And then, as they do with more modern releases, they've put it in a separate bag as well, to keep it nice and fresh. Anti-stat bag as well, always good. And here we go. So that's side A. So yeah, there's no wobble in that at all. There we go. So it's almost a plain white label. We've got this little people here, they're like parlophony kind of thing, and there's the capital thing that I was telling you about earlier. I'm not going to bother getting the other record out because it looks the same as this. It's the same. What I will say though is on here you've got a little word just there that says Eny, E-E-N-Y. On the side B, you've got Meeny, M-E-E-N-Y, and then you've got Miney on side C and Mo on the side D, making Eeny, Meeny, Miney, Mo. And other than that, it doesn't tell you what side the record is. So it doesn't say side A, B, C, or D. Recorded in '96, released in '97, or this one says '97. I'm sure it was '96. Okay, I'm happy to be wrong, but it's certainly recorded in 1996. Yeah, I think that's. I've already listened to it. I've listened to it several times. In fact, I sat down the other night and span it, I think 3 or 4 times, just straight back to back. 3 times, and I got most of the way through side C before I had to go to bed because it was silly o'clock. So, like I said, I'm not going to get the other record out, but there it is. It's the same packaging essentially. And here is the other in a bag. I've got that symbol again there, the people shaking hands. And then on the back here. So, in terms of its production, it's very mid to late 90s. You've got a lot of influence on artists such as DJ Shadow in there. The first track, which is called Airbag, the drummer there's a drum loop which is created from a short snippet of the drummer actual playing, which it's fairly rudimentary kind of pieced together. You can almost hear where the sample starts and ends, but that's kind of part of the charm of it. You've got very homemade ethic on a lot of it. It's got electronic influences seeping throughout with the use of technology, which then became Kid A and Amnesiac and Hail to the Thief also, and so on and so on. Certainly, for me, the highlight tracks. I mean, it's a great album. I don't think there are many down tracks. In fact, I don't think there are any bad tracks. The famous ones: Karma Police, Paranoid Android, which is an absolute killer. No Surprises. They're the kind of, I think they were the singles. There might have been another one. Subterranean Homesick Alien, maybe. I'm not quite sure. But I don't think there's any bad tracks on there. Airbag's an amazing way to start the album. For me, exit music for a film is beautiful, and also Subterranean Homesick Alien, apart from the singles that I've already mentioned, are all brilliant tracks. If I was to make a best of Radiohead compilation, all of this album would be on it, along with lots of their other stuff as well. So that's it. That's OK Computer by Radiohead. I think if you don't own it, certainly have a listen to it. At least get yourself a copy of the CD. I bought the CD when I was 15 or 16. from HMV in Leicester, and it cost me £16.99. I remember it because it was my paper round money for 2 weeks. But I loved the album, and I've still got that copy of CD upstairs on my CD shelves. So thank you for watching. Do feel free to comment or anything like that. That's all good, and I look forward to reading some of those comments. Follow me on Twitter and whatnot. Got a fair old few Twitter followers now, so it would be great to see you on board there as well. Happy listening. Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.